Hello everyone, welcome to my The Way Home official channel. I hope everyone is having a great day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The majority of stories that explore the traumas of our history and the strength of loss and grief center on how that feels in a very personal and distinctive way. Stories tend to center on those moments because we are either present when tragedy is relived and shakes a person, or soon after loss occurs and grief hovers over them, since those appeal to us and are relatable, not to control us, but to serve as a reminder that these are significant events that we are all a part of, and that we should be aware that they will affect us and other people in our life. That way, we can face them head-on with courage and fortitude. However, while witnessing people deal with such issues is beneficial, other parts of trauma recovery and grief are regrettably overlooked in favor of focusing on the more serious issues, when in reality, narrative ought to depict as much of the whole procedure as feasible, so that we comprehend that the true healing starts when the inner darkness disappears. The kind that, in order to ultimately heal emotionally, calls for a great deal of internal and external work, and there are stories that take time to accomplish just that. In order for us to finally understand about the entire process, one noteworthy story in that vein made a comeback on the Hallmark Channel last night. The Way Home's second season opener presented several intriguing viewpoints on healing, which resulted in a compelling story. One that happened after Kat and Alice in the space between had a terrifying event, because not too long after Alice almost drowned in a desperate attempt to use the pond to find Jacob, a choice was taken. That meant they all had to move on and forget about the pond, particularly from the past, which gave the impression that this episode will present a highly optimistic view of healing and stress the significance of letting go of the past and the things that severely wounded our souls. However, as the months passed and everyone returned to their normal lives, it became evident that this episode had different plans. Because healing is something we have to earn and requires significant effort, which isn't the case here. Rather, a great deal of time was spent by Kat, Alice, and even Dell fleeing from the past. Indeed, they admitted it and expressed their suffering, but they never took action. Never took the precise actions required to find a solution and let go of everything. It, however, gave rise to a sobering story that was full of insightful lessons about how tough it is to live in the present and how meaningless life can feel when the past looms large over us, which resulted in the aforementioned impactful moments, the kind that will undoubtedly stick with a viewer for a while, making this a valuable and captivating season opener. It is commendable that it chose to convey grief, loss, and tragedy in a different light than how they are typically depicted in popular culture. Because people who have experienced emotional trauma frequently act in such ways. They acknowledge they've been through a lot with the same meaningless results, yet they try to move forward anyway, as if the story will somehow make them put in the effort. Thanks to an intriguing plot twist that involves the pond's power once more, everyone will go where they need to go in order to preserve the timeline and be forced to confront their suffering, face the dark, and find a way forward. Now that this heartwarming story has come to a close, it will be interesting to watch how this family's healing process plays out in Season 2 of this remarkable series. Until the next occasion, Alice and Kat, who is now a teenager, return to the farmhouse. As they go, Kat introduces Alice to Elliot, David Webster, her best friend, who is working on constructing a telescope in the barn. Kat's father, Alice's late grandfather, greets the girls as they are chatting with adolescent Elliot. He introduces himself to an astonished Alice and compliments Kat on a piece she had published. After escorting Alice indoors, Kat gets her dry clothes. Alice notices that 1999 is written on a calendar. After changing, the girls go to supper. Little Jacob is present at supper, Dell is amiable and cheerful, and Colton boasts about his stunning bride. Unlike the Landry home of today, the entire Landry family appears to be happy. When they inquire about her family, Alice replies that she recently migrated from the United States to Canada following her parents' divorce. Adolescent Kat apologizes, understanding how difficult that must be. They discuss how Kat is about to start working at a camp in the United States. Alice knows that Kat's parents meet there, so she urges her to go. Following supper, the children clear the table as Colton serenades everyone with a guitar song. Alice decides it's time to make her way home after spending a wonderful evening with her family. Hugging her tightly, Jacob warns her to keep an eye out for the White Witch who kidnaps kids from the woods. Jacob uses a Polaroid camera to snap a picture before she can leave the house. Alice looks back through the window as she crosses the porch and sees Dell and Colton dancing and Jacob and Kat grinning. Her family was clearly happy and close at that time, and it hurts to realize how far they've fallen from that happiness. In the present, there is a marked difference in the atmosphere at the dining table. Anger arises as Kat and Dell quarrel about Alice's safety. Kat is furious with her mother for how she handled the death of her father and brother. Kat still sees them wherever she goes, so she finds it incomprehensible that Dell can just pretend they never existed. Calling Alice from her room, Kat does so. After pleading with her to return home, she leaves a note and begins going through Jacob's treasure box, which she discovered in the basement. She discovers a collection of Polaroid images inside. The final one is a fuzzy shot that Jacob took of Alice in 1999. Elliot texts her to reassure her that Alice will make her way home and to not worry. Alice discovers young Elliot in the barn in 1999. In the meantime, he promised to help her anywhere, at any time, she tells him. She tells him that he kept his word and that she needs his assistance immediately, even though he doesn't understand because they only met that day. The end of the episode takes place beside the water, where it all started. Elliot, the adult, waits for Alice to come back by the pond. When Kat phones to inquire about how he knows for sure that Alice will return home, he cryptically replies that he simply knows. Simply said, wow. This inaugural episode of The Way Home offers a plethora of insights to ponder. The well-developed characters and inventive plot delighted me greatly. The writers developed likable, sympathetic characters in under 1 hour. Decades of love, grief, and processing were shared by them. The time travel element is such a creative dynamic because it lets Alice go back in time and see her family for herself before all of the sadness and loss. Sadie Snow, who plays Alice, does a fantastic job building suspense in her moments with Kat, her on-screen mother. Chyla Leigh's portrayal of Kat is incredibly nuanced. She is incredibly honest in every situation she is in. You can feel every ounce of her self-doubt and sadness. Then you have the incomparable Andie MacDowell as Dell, who masterfully closes off her character in a way that makes you want to crawl inside her head and figure out what she's thinking. The flashbacks show us how Dell has changed over time, from being warm and gregarious to being frozen by everything life has thrown at her. I can't wait to see where this tale develops, so congratulations to Hallmark and everyone who worked on the production. It is genuinely unique. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and don't miss any updates.